ADHD Rewired, episode number 14. This is the show designed to help those of us who have really good intentions and a slightly wandering attention. Whether you have ADHD and you want to learn more about it, or you are looking for ways to organize your time, your things, or the many details of life so you can get more done, this show is for you. My name is Eric Tivers. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, coach, and consultant. We know that starting can be the hardest part, so let's get started.
Have you registered for the ADA conference? This is the only conference just for us adults with ADHD. Register using my affiliate link, adda.adhdrewired.com. That's adda.adhdrewired.com.
Hey everybody, we are getting started here on episode, I think we're on number 14 now. It is May 30th. I am recording this at about 7 o'clock in the evening on Friday, May 30th. I am feeling 98% better than I was really in the last 2 weeks. I know that the last 2 episodes that you guys heard, I was not at my best. I know that the last episode, I was kind of venting a little bit. But you know what? That's part of having ADHD, and you're going to have good weeks and bad weeks. So now that I am thinking more clearly and feeling a lot better, I thought that today we would talk about how to break down living your dreams. When it comes to big ideas, you know, us ADHDers, we're great at having big ideas. We just struggle in the area of implementation. There's 2 ways that I kind of wanted to go with today's episode. One was to begin talking about how to do planning, because, you know, we did talk a bit about calendaring, and we've talked about to-do lists, and we talked about certain parts of time management. And then when we get to talk about some of the long-term planning, this begins to piece some of those other aspects together. I was thinking about yesterday, and I created a mind map. In the middle of my mind map, it says, breaking it down, how to live your dreams. And then at the side of the mind map, I have branching out, what is your vision? What are your goals? And then what are your strategies? And I still want to talk about that, and I still want to get into that today. But I was listening to a podcast, and I'm completely blanking on the name of it. It has something to do with Read for Success, called Read to Lead. And they were interviewing Sunny Brown, who is the author of The Doodle Revolution, Unlock the Power to Think Differently. And, you know, as I was thinking through what I would be talking about on today's show, I really was thinking about, I really need to talk about the power of visualization. What I'm going to try to do is blend all this together. So planning, long-term goals, and the power of visualizations and drawing what it is that you are trying to do. So I'm going to start by giving you guys a few exercises. You can listen through this straight through without pausing, but I actually want to really encourage you to pause at certain moments during today's episode and take time to do each exercise. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you about is, what is your vision? You know, your vision is your kind of bigger dreams, the things that, you know, maybe aren't completely clear to you, but you have a general sense about it. You know, so that might be a vision about your career, about your family, about your personal finances, maybe your health, you know, all these different kind of areas of our life. So what is the vision that you want? So these are things that are more kind of abstract. And I think these are important to have. But what I want you to do is try to draw your vision. So, you know, a lot of us will say that, I don't know how to draw. You know, and I've been in that camp too. But I think when we lower some of our inhibitions, which many of us may be good at to begin with. Some of us may be too good at, but don't worry about the judgment part of it. If you can draw a circle, a line, a square, an arrow, and some basic symbols, you can do this drawing exercise. So draw your vision. Maybe start with your career. What does it look like? What's around you? Okay. So I'll give you a moment to pause and do that. All right, now I want you to go on and do the same thing, thinking about your goals. And your goals become a bit more specific, but we're still actually talking generalities to some degree. And so your goals have to do with, and I'll repeat some of these, career, personal, family, kids, and I do think those are separate. I think that you should have family, so maybe that's with your partner, and your kids. I think those should be separate goals, and you can break those down. And then also other areas are health and mental health and financial. So career goals might mean be to have a certain job, to get a promotion, to start something new. So there's lots of different areas you can go in there. So pick one of any of these areas. So career, family, personal, kids, health and mental health, and financial. And again, draw this out. What does it actually look like? What's around you? What does success actually look like? One of the problems often is we don't actually know what the end results look like. When I do this exercise, one of the things that I see when I draw for myself, for let's see, career, is I have books around me because I like to learn. I have doors around me because I like to explore new things. And I do have money around me because I do want to have a career that is financially secure so I can support my family. When I think about my financial goals, sure, it's easy to just draw, big piles of money. Who really wouldn't want to have that? But on a deeper level, that's not really what we want. It's, money itself doesn't get us things. It's the things that money gets us, which is why we seek financial security. So those things for me might look like university with, thinking about my son and potentially future kids being able to go to school and go to college and be able to have money for them to do that if that's something that I want to be able to help them out with. Other things are going to probably include things related to travel. So I might have a picture of maybe a map of the country. And, my wife and I sometimes talk about getting an RV and traveling. I think that's something we actually like the idea of more than the actual practicality of it. But I still really like that idea. I want to see our nation's national parks. I love to go see the Grand Canyon and areas like that. So those are in my both personal and some in my financial goals. So I see those things. I might see money automatically going into my bank account, into my savings account. So I might draw a symbol of a repeating symbol with a bank and money going in there. Okay, so you can draw a house, take a square, then make a triangle, then take some rectangles, make pillars, and then on top of it, write the word bank. So that's all you really need to do when we're talking about visualizing these things. Okay, so take a moment and try to draw some of these things out for yourself. Now, the next part of this, and this is where we're going to get to actually planning, are what are these strategies? So if I want to go on a vacation to the Grand Canyon and I want to go there for, say, a week or two, what are the steps involved in that? So I'm going to need to, figure out how much I need to save for that and figure out what that amount is going to be. So my strategic plan may be to put $50 a week or a month or whatever it is aside and be able to save enough money to make that trip happen. So that's part of the strategic thing. Okay, So go through and think about what are the actual components to what you need to accomplish. I think that this is one of the areas where people really either don't know how to do or don't realize that they haven't done this. They say they want to have this successful career and maybe they're working hard, but they don't have that idea, either a vision of what it looks like or a vision of what they're going to do to get there. Part of my strategic plan in reaching my goals, that is part of my vision, is to create this weekly podcast. This weekly podcast is a stepping stone for me for being able to get out there more. I want to give more talks because that's something that I enjoy doing. I want to put together online programs and classes. That's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. And so these are things that I'm passionate about and interested in doing because I know that it helps other people and I know it's something that people will value and that will help me achieve my goals in multiple domains of my life. Even when it comes to this podcast, I sat and thought about podcasting for a long, long time. So the strategic steps that were involved in that were, signing up to be part of a podcasting group that I signed up for and have been a part of that. And if it were not for that podcasting group that I'm a part of, Podcaster's Paradise with John Lee Dumas, I don't think that I would be here doing this. He gave me the tools. He helped me learn the things that I needed to learn. And the community has also helped and we've helped each other grow our podcasts. So those are some of the strategic components of this. So when you're planning this all out, one of the things that I think is important to ask yourself each year, and a lot of people will do this on January 1st, and by January 5th, they've already forgot about it and will, go back to things as normal. So we've all heard this saying that today is the first day of the rest of your life. Well, your year can begin today. You could start over today. You could start new today. So what are you going to do today? So you are living out your vision. You are accomplishing your goals. You are implementing the strategies that you need to do in order to do these things. So I think it's important to position yourself by asking yourself, what do you want to accomplish this year? And here is another exercise that I would encourage you to do. One of the things that I would encourage you to do for this exercise is to do a mind map. And I think that I'll probably have an episode all about mind mapping because if you guys have seen my show notes, that many of my episode show notes are mind maps. And this one will be too because I'm looking at the mind map that I created for this episode. Okay, so in the middle of this, put what do you want to accomplish? And it doesn't need to be in any particular order. And that's the beauty of mind mapping. So you get all this mapped out in front of you because again, a map is a visual representation of what we're trying to do. So then after you have this, you want to think about, okay, what will you need to accomplish in the next 6 months in order for you to achieve things that you want to achieve for this year? All right. And sometimes it's not really clear. So maybe we need to then look at the 3-month plan. So I have a couple periods of time that I do planning, and each one has a different purpose. But each time I sit down to do planning, one of the purposes always is to take perspective of, am I doing this week what is helping me achieve my goals for this quarter and this month? And is what I am trying to achieve this quarter, is this part of what I had planned out for the 6-month period and for this year? And how does that fit into some of my longer term plans? And how does it fit into my goals? And is it part of my vision? I think for me, the quarterly goals that I do, and I schedule this in my calendar, and I actually schedule it a few times in my calendar with reminders that it's coming up. So I'm really kind of gearing myself up to be thinking about this. And I spend 2 to 3 hours, sometimes over the course of 2 or 3 days even, really going over my 3-month or quarterly plan. So what are the things that I do in my quarterly plan? Well, I bring to light all of those to-do items that I haven't done, the things that I've been ignoring. And I really sit on those things and think about, okay, is this part of my goals? Does this match my vision? So if it doesn't, and I say, okay, this is not still important, I have two options for what I can do with that. I can remove it altogether, or I can move it to a someday list. And part of my quarterly planning is I check my someday list. So if I am in the habit of doing that 4 times a year, these are things that are then not going to clutter what I need to be focusing on, but are not going to completely fall off the radar. And what I have found is that there are things that I have moved to my someday list that have been rescued from my someday list and have been put into my weekly and monthly plans. And there are other items that have gone into my someday list that I've decided, you know what? I don't even know why this was in here. So I completely remove it. When I figure out this quarterly plan, that's when I start kind of planning out the months. And within the month, what I do each week is I'm looking at my monthly plan and seeing what is coming up over the next 4 weeks. And so now when I say monthly plan, I'm always thinking about 4 weeks ahead of time. So not just a calendar month, but actually 4 weeks. And then I start plotting things into my calendar. So that's what I do each week is I'm looking at that monthly plan and seeing, okay, what do I need to do this week? So I am taking care of parts of the things that I'm trying to get accomplished. Then each day I am looking at the bigger things that I wanted to accomplish this week and I am scheduling it. So I just went from my vision to my daily plan. And what it really comes down to is breaking it down. Keep breaking it down until it is so clear to you what you need to do. And I think there is no better way to make things more clear to you than what you need to do than to draw it. Anything that can have a visual symbol or representation for what you are trying to achieve is going to create a level of clarity for you that is going to help you achieve these goals. So I want to take a step back to the quarterly review because I realized that I just missed a whole section of my mind map. So on the quarterly review, when I'm asking myself, is this still important? So I did discuss what happens if the answer is no, and I said to either remove it or move to the someday list. But if the answer is yes, the questions that I want to ask myself are, am I still on track? If yes, I want to update my progress status. So as I am writing my goals and tracking them, I need to have a place to track to see, have I made progress? I think that it's important to use those kind of 100% completion bars. I know that you're not going to completely know what is at 100%, what's 50%, what's 25%. These are guesstimations. And the more you do it, the more accurate you're going to get in assessing how far you are into it. If you're at 80% and you're not sure how, you just did a task and you're not sure how much closer does that move you, even if you move it 1% further, it's still a level of traction that's showing you, okay, I did something. And so it's really important to track how you're doing so you can look back and say, okay, this is what I've done. Okay, if you're on track, update your progress and keep doing what you're doing. If you are not on track, a few questions that you can ask yourself are, do I know what my next step is? I think no matter what you're trying to accomplish, I think one of the biggest areas of getting stuck or procrastinating is not really being clear as to what your next step is. Another question that you can ask yourself is, do I need to make a decision? Sometimes we've done everything that we can do, and now we just need to decide. So as you're looking at a current project that you're at, you need to just make a decision. And sometimes you just have to do it. Decision making is not always easy. And that's probably something I should do a whole episode on, is just making decisions. I've gotten a lot better in that area, and I've learned a lot of tricks and strategies for that and how to evaluate how to make that decision. Not something that I've always been good at, though. And I still have certain areas that I struggle with, but I think that we all do to a degree. Okay, the next question you can ask yourself if you're not on track is, Are there other resources that I need? Whether that is financial resources to move forward, whether that's information to move forward. Do I need help from somebody else? These are the common things that cause us to get stuck when we're not on track. If we find that we are behind schedule, what we then need to do during our quarterly planning is adjust our time frame. Remember, progress is a direction. So if I had a goal to complete something in a year and I realize that I am not on track for a benchmark part of my goal, I'm still going to move forward, but I'm going to adjust my completion dates. I think setting due dates for yourself are really important because it gives us something to focus on. And I know that a lot of people with ADHD struggle with this, which is why I think that having accountability to somebody else is so important. And this is why I am starting the group that I've been talking about, which, by the way, I am a lot closer in doing. Part of it is going to be on Facebook, and I created a secret Facebook group that's already been created. So I have that step. And the thing that I did is I realized that I was putting a call out there. And the call that I put out there was what you heard. I asked you guys, are you interested in a group like that? And I waited to hear your guys' response before I started moving forward. And then, I wasn't feeling so well for a couple weeks. So it took me a little bit longer than I wanted to move forward. But what I did is I spent about 45 minutes and I created a great mind map for myself, really mapping all the action steps that I need to take. And I have made a lot of progress in moving forward. Okay. Let's see, where was I? Oh, so I want to get back into, visualizing what we're trying to do. And this brings me to the tech tip of the week. This week's tech tip of the week is a project management app called Priority Matrix. Priority Matrix uses what some people refer to as the Eisenhower method of important versus urgent for planning. So you have a 4-square grid, but the thing that's really nice about this is that it is extremely customizable. So you have 4 squares and you can create a number of different projects. So in my priority matrix program that I have, a couple of my projects include Tivers Clinical Specialties Business Development. I have my goals. I have things for Chad, since I'm a volunteer coordinator with Chad. I have a project for my website. I have one that's a SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And so in each grid, I have one of these things. And so that's looking at strengths of my business and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So I have a lot of these different areas, but I'm going to look at the goal area right now. And so in my goal area, I have a recurring one, and that's to send out a weekly newsletter. I have not been achieving that. And I'm actually, right now, I'm going to revise that goal. And I'm going to be more realistic about this because I can do a bi-weekly or bi-monthly. And the typing you're hearing is me revising my goal. Send out a bi-monthly newsletter. Okay? Because one of the reasons I think it's important to change the markers, change your goal, is if you see that you're not making your goals on a regular basis, change it to where you're currently at so you feel successful. If you get more progress and more momentum under your belt, you may be able to increase the frequency. So on this app, or on this screen that I'm on right now, I have the options of changing an icon for it. Now, right now, I have the icon. It's a circle that says 1M, which stands for 1 month. So it's on a monthly basis. I want to be sending out a weekly newsletter. Now, if I were to tap that icon, I would get a whole list of all these different graphical symbols. And to me, that's really, really helpful. Underneath that, I can adjust a progress meter from 0% to 100%. Underneath that, there's an effort meter, and it goes from 0 to 8. So 0 says no effort. 1 is 1 to 2 hours. 2 is half a day. 3 is 1 day. 4 is half a week. 5 is 1 week. 6 is 2 weeks. 7 is 1 month, and 8 is several months. Then underneath that, I can assign it to somebody. And if I assign it to somebody, I can email it to somebody. I can set a start date, an end date. I can have it repeat itself. I can add notes to it. I can add links. So if I have a document that I need for this, say maybe from Dropbox, I can attach the link to it. And I can also have this populate my calendar. So it's a very versatile planning tool. It's very visual. Some of the other things that I like about it is you can customize the labels of each quadrant. You can adjust the size of each quadrant. You can change the colors of each quadrant. And it syncs across platforms. And I know that most of my app recommendations are Apple-centric, but this one is available on all platforms. This is one of my favorite project management apps that I use, and I know that I didn't even describe half of the features that are in here. So I would really encourage you to check this out. That is Priority Matrix. And you can see a link to that on my website. And do me a favor, if you do download the apps that I recommend, do it from my website, because I am an affiliate and it takes a lot of work for me to upload everything to my website for apps that I recommend. Now, you know how cheap apps are. I get a really small percent of that. So, I mean, from a dollars and cents standpoint, it's probably not really worth my time to do it, but I want to do this for you. So it's just one way that you could say, hey, thanks for doing this work, and just download it through my website. So I appreciate that. So that is Priority Matrix. I want to hear from you. Let me know, how do you plan your day, your week, your month? How are you planning your life? What are the tools that you use? Do you visualize your plans? Do you draw pictures to help you see what it is that you need to do? Go ahead and log onto Facebook and look up our page, Facebook. I can never get how I'm supposed to announce the Facebook page. Go onto Facebook, look up ADHD Rewired. And if you have some really cool visual plans that you've created, share it with us. Again, I want this to be a community, and communities are not just me talking to you. I want for us to be talking to each other and learning from each other. A lot of the best strategies that I have learned have been from my clients. Let's all share with each other. I also want to know, do you have an app or a tool or gadget that you think ADHD Rewired listeners need to know about? Shoot me an email through my website. I'll take a look at what you send me, and I will try to get things shared with everybody else. You can also share on the Facebook page as well. So Facebook, we're at ADHD Rewired, and my website is ADHDrewired.com. Well, podcast listeners, you have just listened to another episode of ADHD Rewired. I appreciate you listening. I also really appreciate the reviews that you leave on iTunes. If you haven't done so already, please leave your review for ADHD Rewired on iTunes and make sure you click subscribe. This way, other people can find this podcast. I'm also on Stitcher and SoundCloud. You can also leave your review on Stitcher. Whichever platform you are using to listen to this show, please leave your review. It really helps, and I'm greatly appreciative of it. You can sign up for my newsletter at my website, ADHDrewired.com, or text my name, Tivers, to 22828. Don't forget to sign up for the ADA conference. Go to adda.adhdrewired.com. As always, I love hearing from you. Please share your thoughts, comments, concerns, jokes, recipes. I don't know. Send me what's on your mind. Go to my website and use the contact form to let me know what's on your mind. I want to leave you with these words. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Since I can't pronounce his name, I have a special guest that will do it for me.
Antoine de Saint-Exupéry.
Thanks, Siri. I'd be lost without you.
I'm well aware. Now go home and go to bed. Until next time.
Hey, that's my line. Until next time.